Hello, GD4G. This is Dr. Deirdre here with Dr. Brandy again, and we are here to talk about time management.
Boom, boom, boom.
I know. Da, da, da. What do you have to say to the people, to the GD4Gs about time management, Dr. Brandy?
I'm laughing because I'm probably one of the biggest procrastinators that I know, but I will say time management is about prioritizing things, right? I think one thing that we often do is that we try to do too much and we can't identify what's a priority, what's not a priority, what can be done at a later date, what has to be done now. We try to lump everything into this one category of now. Does it really have to be done now? And I think sometimes time management also comes with the ability to tell people, no, I can't do this. I'm already busy.
Agree.
Or today is not a good day, or now is not the right time because I have too much on my plate. I think we fall short of telling people no, that we have too much on our plate and we try to take on everything at one time. So time management, and let me say this, there are some people that are wonderful at time management.
Yes.
There are some, but these are people who are probably really great organizers, who have lists, who know how to prioritize and color code and make everything nice. And they have set up things where they can know, okay, well, today is the day that I'm going to get this accomplished. And they're okay with saying no, right? Because they've created boundaries. Right. And some people don't like, well, time management and boundaries, how do they exist? Because we often overwhelm ourselves with things that we could avoid by just saying, today I can't do this, or I've taken on too much of this time,
But I'm gonna stop you right there because you are speaking truth. And what I want to ask or say is, a lot of times I think that's cultural. So as an African-American female, I'm going to apologize in advance, GD4G. I see a delay on my end. Is there a delay on your end, Dr. Brandy, from me?
A little one. Yep. Now that you say it, yeah, it's a little delay for me. Yeah.
Okay. So I apologize, GD4G. I don't know what is causing this to happen. But listen to the words and try not to be confused by the visual here. It's like one of those old Godzilla movies where everybody is talking.
Subtitles.
Yes. We get back to the topic at hand. You mentioned that, and I'm thinking that's a lot of this is cultural. And I know there have been all the studies, the strong Black woman and all this, the Black female and all this, strong Black female. And this whole having to be all for everybody.
Yeah.
And showing strength and that it's weak. And then culturally, as women, we're taught even not to show weakness.
Yeah.
So take on everything.
For everybody.
For everybody. And if you manage to work yourself in there, yay.
Yeah.
But don't take too much time on yourself because you got to be to everybody for everything. And so I think it's key to be able to say no.
Yeah. And
there used to be this extreme guilt because people will try to make you feel guilty for saying no to them. Then they'll be trying, I thought you was a Christian and I thought all this. But I'm yes, I'm all of the things, but I'm a person too. And I know when I am overwhelmed. Right. And so people will try to guilt you into doing things. And use the things that I just said. I thought you were a Christian. I thought you were a good person. I thought you can handle all of this and all those. Those are guilt tactics.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I have learned to turn it around. Why can't you do it yourself?
Or a bigger question is, how can I support you? Maybe I can't do it for you, but how can I support you? Right. And understand that no is a complete sentence.
Okay, hello.
If you're gracious enough to provide an explanation, that's wonderful, but you don't have to. No is a complete sentence. And I think some of us get away from that because we think it's a form of disrespect. Right. You can be gracious enough to say, no, unfortunately, I can't do this at this time because I'm overwhelmed. But you don't owe anybody an explanation. But I think one thing, to offer is some time management techniques that may be helpful for some people. Whether you are a working adult, whether you are in school, and, in college, K through 12, wherever you are, right? I think there's always ways to manage your time efficiently and effectively, right. And not become a procrastinator like me.
You're right. And again, I will say I'm a procrastinator too. Mm-hmm. I work better at night. Mm-hmm. So I tend to put off a lot of things during the day until the nighttime. Yep. And that's when I'm on fire.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
At night. But one of the things with time management that I've known, but it's just taken me this long to practice is when I am completing my list for the day, I never take into consideration the amount of time it will take me to do each task on the list. Now, I'm the kind of person that has to put everything on the list. So, and some people don't have to do this, but I don't like housework, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So I have to put on my calendar the day that I'm going to do laundry.
Yeah.
And it might take 2 days to get laundry done. But I'm the type of person that has to put laundry on my list, right? Mm-hmm. But I realize that once I put the laundry on, that frees me up to do something else. However, I will put things on my to-do list for the same day that each require 2 to 3 hours to complete. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's just taken me this long to learn. Don't put those long items on the same day. Break them up, because it may take you 2 hours to do something or 3 hours to do something. But while you're doing that, you might have to research. Mm-hmm. You might have to look up something to help you complete the task. Or you might have to unexpectedly sit on the phone with somebody. Yeah. To get it done. And so for me, the stressor came because I was filling my calendar, my day, not the calendar, the day, the actual day, with tasks that, because of their time, couldn't be completed on the same day. Yeah. And so I beat myself up that my time management was horrible, and it was. Because I didn't know that I need to separate, like driving. So I might have an appointment that's 30 minutes away, but I haven't accounted for the 30-minute drive time. And I've piled and stacked things on that. And it's like, but you have to drive for 30 minutes. So you can't do any of these items in the 30 minutes that you're driving to get to the destination. Yeah.
So it's interesting. So I learned this technique from, I can't remember who taught me this technique or who shared this technique with me when I was writing my dissertation. The Pomodoro method, also called the tomato technique. And I know it's typically used for studying, but I would use it I kind of use it for a lot of things now, honestly. Not just studying, not just writing. sometimes grading. I use it for a variety of things because I'm one of those folks who I can get easily distracted, right?
Okay.
Even though I need some type of noise in the background when I'm focusing,
Yes.
if something catches my attention on TV or on my phone, I'm scrolling, I'm looking, I'm stopping. But what I like about the method is you set a timer. They recommend 25 minutes. I think I used to do 30 minutes or 35, or it could be 15 or 20, right? Whatever you're comfortable with. And you do this designated task in that allotted time, right? Mm-hmm. When that timer goes off, you get up, you take a 5-minute break, whether it's get some water, use the restroom, walk around, and then you reset on that task. It was extremely helpful for me. And it remains extremely helpful for me. And so I recommend that to folks who just as a tool, like cleaning, like I don't like to clean. I am looking for cleaning services. I hate to clean, right? But I know there are some things that I have to do. And so I set that timer and I may, clean the bathroom or something, come back, take a break. And some people might say, doesn't that like drag on your task? Maybe for some it does, but for me, it helps me break it up into chunks, and that doesn't seem so daunting to me.
That's a good point. The time, and as an educator and a special educator, we used to set timers for kids, for students all the time, right? Yeah. You do this much before the timer goes off, then you can have 5 or 10 minutes to do this.
Yeah.
Right. And then how to stay on task, and the task isn't so daunting, as you were saying. It isn't so daunting.
And they recommend if you can do this sequence of 4, then you can then take a longer break as a reward, right? So maybe your break becomes 20 or 30 minutes because you've been able to do this sequence of 4. So it's just, I don't know if it works for everyone, but I will tell you, it really did work for me. And I will typically recommend it to clients I have, specifically clients who may have ADD, who need that distraction in the middle to break up the monotony. Even those who don't, I would suggest try out. If it works for you, great. If it doesn't, that's okay too, right? It's just another tool in your kit to use, if it works for you.
Right. Thank you. That's another good tool. Another one I use, I have to have lists. I still write my calendar out. I know everyone's moved to the age of putting everything on your smartphone, on your calendar. I can't keep up like that because I'm a person that needs to know I've accomplished a task, right? That I've completed something. Even going to work, I have to be in, at work at this time and whatever. I cross it off when I'm done with work, right? And so I still use a calendar. I still write everything down. And on that. But what I learned is, because sometimes things happen and you start creating a list of the things to do and something gets thrown in there that you have no control over. But what I learned, is it Stephen Covey or Frank, whoever does the planning? I think it is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so what I learned is, so on the calendar, and I should have brought my calendar in, but so I buy the calendar that has the lines on it so Monday has its own lines, Tuesday has its own lines, Wednesday, Thursday has its own lines. And they're long, not little short boxes. They're the long lines. Right. So I'll write down everything I want to do for Monday, right? And then what I learned to do is number them based on priority. So my tasks are number 1, 2, and the 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s are all scattered, but I know which one I need to do first, which one comes second, which one comes third, fourth, fifth, sixth, however many are on there. And it may be I have 2 major things to do for that day, but which of the 2 is has the most priority? And needs to get done first. And so that's a method that I use and that really works well for me, because I have to write it, I have to see it, and then I have to cross it off.
I also want to come back to something you said earlier, that you work better at night. So do I, but you have to understand that about yourself, right? And I really, like so many people during the pandemic who are working from home or going to school virtually, understand that sometimes you are more productive at night, and that's okay. But understand that about yourself, right? Like, I know that I'm not going to get a whole lot of things done during the day, probably not, unless they're priorities. But at night, like you, I can, I'm like a machine. I'm cranking things out at night because, my juices are flowing. So understand that about yourself. Like, when do you work best? And understand, are you a multitasker? Sometimes you aren't. And that's okay too. But understand that about yourself. If you're not a multitasker, don't make those attempts when you know it's going to distract you. And you're not going to be able to focus on the
Exactly. And one of those things for those of us that are night people, it's hard for us during the day. And so what I find when I come home for the day, I'm exhausted, right? And so I have learned, like, in time, I've got to give myself time to decompress.
Yes.
Because it's so easy for us to get into that mode of, I've got to keep running. I know I'm a night person, but my job, the role that I have to play requires me to be available and present during the day.
Absolutely.
Right? So night people don't get a lot of time at night to decompress and rest to be ready for the next day.
Right.
So what I found, I have to make time to decompress when I come home and give myself that grace to sit down and do nothing, watch trash TV, go to sleep even.
I was gonna say a nap. A nap is a powerful thing.
Okay. And then when I wake up, and I can't beat myself up if the nap was an hour, but I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
And do the things that I need to do to function.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And I like that. I like your method of you have your things to do list or your calendar, and you prioritize by using a number system, right? And I think that's important too. What one thing that I do is I'm old school. I still make a things to do list, a priorities list. I do it twofold, right? I live by my electronic calendar. So everything is on my phone. I have everything synced from my work. Everything is on, but I still, when I get to my office, I go old school and I write it down on paper. Right. And it's in no particular order, but I do try to put the most important in the beginning. But as I finish, I cross them off and I check through them. Like, I know this is complete. I don't have to revisit this. And I prioritize A, B, and C, or I may be like, today's priority, tomorrow's priority, or today's priority, this week's priority, because I know today is more important, but the rest of the stuff can be done throughout the week. So I think whether it's an electronic calendar, whether it's a paper to pen, figure out what your best method is, use it and try to stick to it.
That's it. That's it. And find what works for you. And it may take some time. It may take some time. I just haven't been able to completely transfer over to the electronic calendar. It's just not my thing. And I have my iPhone, I have my smartphone, and there's some things that are on there. But if I don't keep it on paper where I can, again, I like to read. So, I like to touch books. I like to hear the pages turn. I like to be able to fold and bend. So that's the thing for me about having a calendar. I like to be able to touch it, flip the page, cross it out. I like to be able to work with it.
Yeah. And another thing I'll say is, I lost my train of thought that quickly.
Sorry, you have to jump in.
No, it's fine now. Is if you're going to use a planner, and this is what I was thinking, but I was thinking something else too. I always say get a pretty planner that you'll like, right? Because it'll be more engaging for you to want to use it. And that's not for everybody, but I always say if you're gonna, if you're somebody that's a very visual person, get you a nice, wonderful calendar that you feel like you're gonna be able to want to touch every day. And also sometimes I'm forgetful, so I set reminders for myself on my phone. Whether I email myself a reminder or actually set a physical reminder saying, hey, Brandy, check A, B, and C, or you need to do A, B, and C. It's just as another way to kind of like jog my memory too.
Right. Well, for me, it's a solid color calendar, but I'm a creature of habit. I've gotten into the habit of using this one particular calendar.
Okay.
And so last year, 2021, they didn't have that calendar. So I bought another one.
Okay.
I struggled with it.
Okay.
And so this year, when the calendars for 2022 came out, bam, they had the one that I'm used to. I purchased it and I started using it in November. Instead, because they all have like the last few months of the year that you can use. I transitioned into that as soon as I bought it because it was a format that I was familiar with and I could work with it. The last one I had, it was a page per day.
Okay.
And then it had the times next to it. I didn't need the times. But I found I needed to fill up the whole page for the day. That was too much for me. Because I'm that person. So I was like, if that page is not full, something's wrong, right? So as soon as I found mine that had the week listed, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 2 little small pages, right?
That's what works for you.
That's what works for me. I have this small amount of time frame to work in on Monday. I have a small frame on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to work in. So as soon as I found that calendar, that planner, I was like, this is it. And you put the one out for 2023, 24, 25, so I can go ahead and purchase
and get all of them.
Yes.
Like you can't know what works for you. Like me, this may seem silly, but this was one of
I know.
This works.
Absolutely.
When I tell you it's filled up with things that I've done in my writings and everything, it's just this, this is what but again, find what works for you. This one works for me, and I have, this one, but they're all and I get them from like, Ross or Home, any kind of store. But I know, because I feel like I'm a colorful person, I tend to want, colorful things, but also my thing is I take notes and everything all together too.
Okay.
So I typically need like a notebook kind of thing.
Right.
Whether it's electronic or paper to pen, you got to figure out what works best for you. That's like, understand some people are procrastinators and work better under pressure.
Right.
And that's okay because once you recognize that about yourself,
that's it.
And be okay with it. Because I know I've come to the conclusion I am a huge procrastinator. I work best under pressure.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But there are some things that I cannot procrastinate on, and those are things that I know I have to prioritize and create lists, manage my time with effectively.
Right, exactly. And that procrastination piece is something because when you're working on something, I was working on a presentation and I tried my best to get that presentation completed early.
It didn't flow right.
I couldn't get it. I couldn't get it together. And so I think it's important, like we need to know like our time management is our time management.
Yes. I agree.
And I know that in society, we teach that it has to be that if you're not this type personality, if you're not that type, then something is wrong with you, but you are normal.
Yeah.
You are normal within the realm of yourself. And that's we're not normal. We become abnormal when we start to function outside of ourselves.
Yep. Outside of our norm.
Yes, that's when, because
Mhm.
it doesn't feel natural
Right.
to us.
Mhm.
And so for me, even so, GD4Gs, that is something, and parents, please,
Mhm.
you know, tell your daughters it is okay to be who you are.
Absolutely. Yep.
You don't have to fit or shape into any
Mhm.
mold. Square pegs don't fit into round holes.
Absolutely. Mhm.
Period. You know, there's professional courtesies and being nice, and those are just natural things.
Yeah.
But you don't have to change who you are. You know, it's that whole hair debate, right? Natural
Between
hair for an
that's right.
African American woman versus straight hair.
Mhm.
If that's not what you were born with, and that's not who you are, and that's not what you're comfortable with, stop doing it.
That's right.
People are going to accept you or reject you regardless. No matter what you look like, people are going to accept or reject you. And you can't be all things to all people. So the best thing you can do is be yourself. Be you.
Yourself. That's right. Be
Be
you.
you.
That is what makes us great, is our individual, our individualities. That's what makes us who we are, unique. It's, no one was made to be just like someone else.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We are total individuals, and we have to learn to operate as such. We have spend a lot of time trying to be like someone else or be like others, and that's not who we are. And I have resigned to, I can't be all things for all people, but I need to be all things for me.
At 100%.
100%. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I think here we spent our time on time management.
I think we did. We spent some time management. And again, find what works for you, whether it's pen to paper, whether it's electronic, whether it's a combination of both. And prioritize what needs to be done during the day and what needs to be done during the week. And again, accountability, as you complete those tasks, check them all. You're finished, you're done, you can move on to the next thing.
Yes.
And so,
and if you don't get it done,
it's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay. That's right. And don't be afraid to ask for help if you need it.
Absolutely. Don't be afraid to ask for help. And don't be afraid to say, no, I didn't get it done.
Or no, I can't take on that responsibility right now because I'm overwhelmed.
If someone asks you to do something else, don't be afraid to say, no, I can't take on that responsibility right now. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got it.
Okay. So, all right, GD4Gs. This is another episode with Dr. Deirdre and Dr. Brandy. Today's topic was time management. Again, find what works for you, do you, and be you. Until next time. Bye.
Enjoy. Have a good one. Bye.